technology.
Well, today is a no comment podcast.
No comment.
Yeah, no comment. Not allowed to comment. We're back in the booth.
Yeah.
Back in the booth.
Yeah, and we still haven't got the technology right.
It's saying it's not available
Why?
because I'm already casting on my Facebook.
Well, okay, how do we normally do it?
Use the iPad, which is in the other shop, because you decided to.
So you forgot the iPad.
Yeah.
What's going on, homies? You're listening to NPK Live, the Hydroponics Podcast. You're listening to NPK Live. To all the listeners around the world, you're listening to NPK Live.
Anyway, so yeah, we've got podcast 116, Grow Towards the Light, with myself, Thomas.
And myself, Stephen.
Your podcast today?
Yeah.
Bit of both.
Bit of both.
Mainly yours.
Grow Towards the Light, 116. Last week's podcast was a little bit nuts, wasn't it, for the live people watching?
Yeah, it was crazy.
Because we were outdoors, internet was a little bit dodgy. But the sound quality was good, wasn't it, mate? We got some good quality. So that podcast will be up a week on Sunday, actually, because it's Barry Builds this Sunday. We recorded that 2 weeks ago. We're trying to get a little bit ahead of ourselves, so when the summer comes and I'm on holiday or you're on holiday or we're away, then we can still have our Sunday podcast coming up, so you don't get to miss us for too long. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
How are you anyway?
I'm good.
You haven't been in the booth for about 3 weeks, have you?
No, been busy.
We have been very busy.
Yeah, very.
Chelsea was a bit mad.
Chelsea Flower Show was crazy.
Yeah, we talked about that last week.
Yeah. As you know, well, you will know, the live viewers, they had a bit of a hard time with it, but we done podcast outside last week.
We had to. It's to be honest, it's warm now. It's not even that warm outside, is it?
And it was an absolutely gorgeous day, and we decided to do it outside the Liverpool shop. A few of our pals were there causing mayhem, talking whilst we were live. One of them didn't even know he was actually live, and he's the most shyest person you'll ever meet as well. So once he discovered he was actually on a live feed, he instantly went very quiet and then left the area. But it was interesting. We was just sitting outside our little urban garden that we've built by ourselves out of all recycled produce. So we've used like old pallets, and we've sawed them up and nailed them together to make beds, and we've made a bench, and we've made a table and chairs and stuff like that. And we've made the pond out of an Ibex tank that we cut in half, cleaned out, and then placed some black and white in with the black facing up. We found an old like fancy Greek looking naked woman, didn't we? Drilled a hole in the top of it, placed it in the pond, and then fitted some ice line to it. Got an old pump out of a pond, didn't we? That one of the customers had left in the store, and fitted that to it, and put a gravy jug over the top of it, so it wouldn't literally spray all over the car park.
That was ingenious.
Yeah, there's some pictures on our Facebooks and stuff, and our Instagrams as well, and also we've got some runners going up the side, some trestles or trellises, are they called? Trestles or trellises? Trellises, yeah. Wooden trellises that we screwed to the wall, and just little bits and bobs. So if you were watching, you could hopefully see like you can make this stuff quite hard and nothing.
Recycled.
All of it
wood.
was just crap that we had that comes on deliveries and stuff like that, and we have at the side of the shop, and it's a nice little place to sit at. That's why. So we were sitting there, we had our CANNA marquee set up, and I thought, let's just do it here. We was enjoying the sun and stuff like that.
You had the bikes out as well, didn't you?
Yeah, we had the motorbikes out.
I say we. I can just about ride a pedal bike, never mind the motorbike. But we, as part of the team, we had the bikes out.
Yeah. Team NPK had the bikes out. So yeah, that's the reason why we done that podcast like that. Wasn't too long, the podcast.
No, it was good, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it was good. So if you watch live and you didn't really get to see or hear much of it, then it'll be on the podcast in 2 weeks' time. But if you listen to today's podcast, either live or listen on iTunes or wherever it is you listen to, go back and check out the podcast 114 Barry builds, because it was a good podcast, you know.
I still haven't listened to it.
Yeah, you need to, because I think we had a bit of a laugh because it was Barry's first time, and he was dead giggly, and he was funny. Like he started off really shy and just being like, yeah, and then giggling, and then as I was asking him questions about building the grow room, he'd get into it, and then he was touching me loads. He was going, yeah, but wait there, and then what you've got to do is you've got to do this and do that, and then you wait, and then you've got to do this, and he got right into it. So we're going to do a Barry Builds Part 2. I'm going to give him a few weeks to do some research on what he wants to talk about, but we're going to do the advanced or the middle grow room. We'll probably end up doing it as a trilogy because he did end up getting really into it. So it was just a basics one, really, where he talked about walking into the room and you've got to get your tape measure out, measure the room, put your Mylar up, your black and white up. So make sure you check out that podcast because it's one that everybody really needs to listen to if you're getting into it, because there's some good tips for everybody. Never mind if you're just a beginner setting up a room.
Okay, so today's podcast, Grow Towards the Light. What are we talking about today? Grow towards the light.
On Instagram last night, we were thinking, we were on the phone to each other last night thinking, what are we doing for tomorrow's podcast? Because we've been that busy. We normally plan and we have like 4 or 5 weeks ahead, but we've been that busy. We've caught up with all the ones we planned for. So we were talking, and I said, actually, I put up a post up on Instagram last night. It was of I was in Yorkshire over the weekend, and I took some good pictures, and this one picture popped up on my phone, and it was just of a leaf with all the veins connected to the cells, and it looked really good. It was off a fig plant as well, fig tree. So I posted it up and was like, you know what? Like, isn't this interesting, blah, blah, blah. And then I thought to myself about light and how important light is. And still in the UK, people are spending more on nutrients than they do on the lights. It's not uncommon, and I'm sure loads of you will know or will have worked with or will have sold lights to people that will walk in the shop and say, what's your cheapest light kit? And you'll say 55, 60, 70 pound, whatever it is for your magnetic light kits. And then they'll go, okay, I'll have 4 of those, please. So they'll spend, let's say, £250 on the lights. And then they'll go, you know what else I need? I need 2 5-litre bottles of Boost. What's that? That's over £300 already. So instantly, just on Boost, you've spent more than you have done on your lights. And that's completely backwards. So today's podcast is drilling home the need to concentrate on your light. And I'd say it's the most important thing you'll spend your money on. But it's probably, on comparison, it's probably the most important thing with air and extraction.
As well as equally important is when you spent your money on your light, is using it correctly. So getting the most out of your light. Where you position the light, where you hang the light in your room, tent, area, what type of spread you expect from this light, what period.
You like a good spread, don't you?
Yeah, I like it well spread.
Yeah. And we're talking about a food spread, aren't we? Yeah. A spread of food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The wider spread, the better it is.
Oh, yeah. That's what you're always telling me, that, aren't
you? The easier it is as well.
Easier access with the bigger spread.
Yeah. So, but you've also got to remember different horses for different courses as well. So, light does different things, has different switches for plants. So you have veg periods and
propagation periods
and propagation.
The transition period's an important one when there's a lot of stretch going on.
Yeah, and there's various different types of light that you can use to do different stages throughout the grow and flower cycle. So that's what we're going to cover.
The main message today is for people that are listening right at the beginning is spend more money on your lights than you do on your nutrients. Hands down. Hands down. And I'd even go so far to say is we've got nanos out there now. It's in the grow shops. It's available to buy. Plug. But if you're telling me that you're going to buy nano silicon and nano iron and spend £150 on the 2 packets, but you're only going to buy a magnetic light kit, I'd actually say to you, no, save your money. Go and get yourself a digital light kit or a double-ended light fixture, or just stop using magnetics. Chill out on the nutrients for a little while. I'm going to improve the light, because light is food for the plants. Nutrients just help build the plant's structure, and it builds sugars and helps build the plant up from start to finish. But it's the light that is its main food. It's your spuds, it's your meat, it's your veg.
Also, with light as well, when you use light, you need to make sure you use it correctly. So you need to adequately remove the excess heat depending on what light you have or don't have. You might have to add heat. If you're using the CFL light and it's in the winter and you've got small plants with a low humidity, you might have to increase the heat and temperature to compensate for the colder times of the period. If you've got a HPS light in the middle of summer, which we are nearly now. And
Actually, first day of summer was the 1st of June. When this podcast goes live, it'll be 2 weeks into summer.
Oh, okay.
But 1st of June was the first official day of summer.
It's the first official piss down, the first official day. But a week before us, obviously, you guys in the US and everybody, big shout out
and Australia.
Yeah, Australia. You guys have got continuous heat problems. With us, it's a bit of a roller coaster throughout our yeah. Well, in all honesty, it's not.
There's 4 seasons, isn't there? There's
winter,
really fucking cold.
Yeah, winter,
and then there's winter, which is really fucking cold. Then there's autumn, which is fucking cold. Then there's spring, which is hot, and then there's summer, which is really fucking hot.
Yeah,
and they're our seasons, so that's what we've got to contend with. There's no real nice middle ground, is there?
But I think the last 2 seasons only last for 8 days, 4 days apiece.
Yeah, and we've just had them. It was last week.
Yeah. So basically what I'm trying to say is, so if you have got some state-of-the-art lights and you're roaming into the summer and your temperatures are getting really high and you're struggling to extract, you might want to consider, you might have to only consider, because there's no other option, which we've seen quite a few times, and I've been faced with these problems before in the past, where the temperature outside is just so hot that all the extraction that the maximum of your extraction you're doing is not sufficient. So what I then do is I will then switch off some of the more intense lights that create more heat, and I'll probably replace them with the CFL light, just so I don't lose as much of my widespread.
Widespread that you love.
But I would do that temporarily. I wouldn't do that
just on the hot days.
On the hot days, if I thought, whoa, temperature's going into the red zone here, boom, 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 because I'll already have these CFLs in place.
Yeah.
They're already there.
Yeah.
So it's just a case of, oh, okay, shit, temperature's really, I'm needing sun cream outside, so I'm going to have to switch a couple of lights off.
And you knew this the day before because you check your weather app.
You know, anyway, you see on your iPhone, it tells you. If you don't know the weather, you're really thick nowadays.
Yeah.
There's no excuse to not know what temperature it is outside. Every single grower should know what temperature it is every single day. So if you're listening to this podcast and you're thinking, I don't check the temperature, you are a really bad grower. Really, really bad, and you're doing something really wrong, and it's not something that we at NPK condone, is it?
No.
Not checking the temperature on a daily basis.
It's
checking the weather.
degrees Celsius.
Everybody
right
needs to be a weather person.
Everybody that grows needs to be a weather person. You have 2 jobs: check the weather, grow plants.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And when you said about turning lights off, there's a second problem with having magnetic light kits. You've got to turn them off. There's no in between feature. There's no dimming them down. There's no whatever. It's just on or off. Yeah. So get rid of magnetic ballasts and make the change to digital. And there's no more excuses anymore about, but digital's so much more expensive. No, because Highlight Horticulture now have digital ballasts that we have checked thoroughly, and they work really well, and they are a cheap digital light kit. So
if you don't know what Stephen's talking about when he's talking about switching light kits down, you'd have a dimmable ballast. It's digital, and the majority have 3 settings on. But is it for 600?
There's all different, isn't there?
Yeah, the best one be 600, 400 and 250.
Yeah, and then some of them have got the MaxiBright Pro Selects, which is, in my opinion, the best digital ballast in the UK market. It's got 250, 250 plus, 400, 400 plus, 600 and 600 plus. And it's also got an LED indicator light as well, which if there's any problems, it'll flash. So if the voltage is too high or too low, it'll tell you. If the wattage coming in is too high or too low, it'll tell you. If there's any problems whatsoever with the bulb, the life of the bulb or anything, this ballast tells you. That's what you get when you pay for an expensive light kit.
Yeah. Also with that, when we've mentioned this in the past, but if you was turning them ballast down, we'd recommend that you would remove the bulb and put
the right bulb in there.
Yeah, so i.e. 600 bulb, 400 bulb, 250 bulb. But it's an excellent feature, especially when you're in the summer and the heat is really becoming a problem, because then you don't need to replace it with the CFL lighting. You still have an intense light not as much wattage, however, still helping you out through them really tough times.
Gives you that spread still.
Them tools in your toolbox, what we keep telling you about, because that's what this is about. This is adjusting all of the time and paying attention every single day of what your environment's doing. So one day you'll go in and go, wow, temperature, humidity, I'm going to do that. And that's what you do. You go, just like that. And that's what you do every day.
I wondered what that weird thing was you did when you walked in the lab.
That's like you'd inspect the Cluto or whatever he's called. You know, you've got your toolbox and all your equipment here around you. You've got digital dimmable ballast. You've got dimmable extraction. You know, you can monitor your pH and temperature and EC and humidity. So you can make all of these key adjustments on a regular basis. So this plant lives in a perfect harmony.
Here's a tough question for you.
Okay.
Is there anything on the market these days that is not potentially adjustable or measurable? Is there any excuses for people to say, but you can't adjust or measure that?
That's a good question. Let's have a think. Let's see if I can figure something out. So,
obviously, you'd say magnetic ballast, but I'm talking potentially, because I could then say to you,
in
but
what
just
way?
buy a digital ballast.
Measurable or adjustable? You can measure them, but you can't adjust them, can you, really? You can't adjust the magnetic ballast.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is there anything that is impossible to adjust or measure? And if you said magnetic, then I'd say, well, there's a digital light kit.
Yeah, so that's
adjustable.
wrong. Yeah, that's not fair.
Can you think of anything?
So you've got air and extraction. No.
Is there any way out for people? Is there any excuse for people to say, I can't measure that, or I can't adjust that?
No.
I can't tweak. I can't think of anything.
No.
If you can think of anything that is not adjustable or not measurable, comment below. And
well, somebody might say money.
Measurable?
Budget. You could say. But then I don't think so, because if you have equipment already, you must have initially had a budget to use this equipment. And basically what we're just saying is to use your budget adequately.
All of your money really should be spent on air and extraction, which is your environment, and lights.
Yeah.
If you're thinking about how you can spend your money on nutrients, you've got things twisted and upside down, because no matter what your budget is, you can go and get yourself a litre bottle of single part soil cocoa or hydro feed for grow, and a single part for bloom, and that'll cost you £30-40. And that's the cheap stuff. Like Vitalink do a really good range. It's not expensive. Growth Technology do a good range in the Ionic. It's not expensive and it works well. There's no excuses for people to say, I haven't got this to spend on lights. Spend your money on your lights.
If you haven't got your lighting sorted out and your extraction and stuff, your good equipment correct, then you're going to struggle from
the best nutrients in the world won't make a difference.
No.
Nothing will. It's all about the light. That's why it's growing towards the light. We need to drill home to everybody to get off magnetics and at least make the switch to digital.
And there's some cheap options available.
There is now, so that's why we're making this big push today, is because we've been testing these digital ballasts for a while.
We're not a big fan of saying to everyone, get the cheap stuff. But we're sort of saying to you, if you're stuck in the same situation where you're 10 years down the line, still using magnetic ballast, we'd recommend having a go with the cheap ones. To be honest, they're going to break after a year. But if you buy one from us, we'll give you the warranty anyway, so you'll be able to retain it. But then, once you've used it, then you'll think, I'm going to go
this
and get
was a good switch.
Yeah, I'll go and get the Maxi Pro Select or something like that, or you'll upgrade it anyway. So it's a bit of a no-brainer once you get in there.
Yeah. Before anyone says, why do you keep mentioning Maxi Bright Pro Selects? Do they pay you money? No, they don't. Nobody does.
It's a good piece of
kit.
It's
the best digital ballast. If anyone thinks differently in terms of single digital ballast, then let us know. But we prefer the Maxi Bright Pro Selects. We've bought quite a few for the shop, and they never let us down.
Also,
one or two.
Going towards the light as well. For me as well, it also comes down to plant training and the way you use your plants and look after them. It's not just about what the best expensive piece of light that you can get on the market. It's about using it properly and making sure it's the right distance away from your plants.
When you say plant training, is this like you take them to Gym 21 and you get them on the bench?
You get them on the bench. You've got
them on the track.
You've got them little NPK vests.
Yeah.
And you just put the vest on them and a little sweatband and say, come on, boys, right, let's get going. and they all just start manipulating themselves into the right position because you want to get the most out of your light. And what some top tips for growers from me is, you know, if you say you may be in a room or you may be in a tent. We'll just say in a room, for instance, but you can picture it as a tent if you want, or vice versa. And if I was to walk in, and you may have plants in maybe 20-litre pots, for argument's sake, and they're in saucers, or they might be in a big collective tray, and you walk into your room, and in the room I see light on the floor. I think,
Who's throwing pounds at the floor there?
Yeah, just throw money down the drain because your light should be on your plant. So, but then I also walk into a room and then I think, I can't see my feet because there's plants everywhere. Do you know what I mean? And it's also finding the right balance of plants.
Equilibrium.
Yeah, the ratio required for your light per metre squared.
So don't have your plants growing into each other so that they're missing loads of light. Yeah. Don't have one plant in a 2 metre by 2 metre tent with all the light hitting the floor. Yeah,
exactly. A big fan of ours is netting. The bubbler, particularly with the bubbler, it homes in on that, especially because we use a 1.5 screen net on the bubblers, and we manipulate the plants throughout the bubbler for about a 4 to 7 week period, veg period, and then by the time that comes into flower, once you look underneath the net, it's just sheer darkness. There's not a single piece of light, which means that the whole canopy of the plant is getting the full energy of the light source that you're using. And that's sort of like the point I'm trying to make at the moment.
Yeah. We talked a lot about it in efficiency.
Yeah, efficiency.
And the point is that if you're using, let's say, one 600-watt light and you've got 4 plants, and there's light hitting the floor, then you're not actually using a 600-watt light, are you?
No.
You're using maybe a 450-watt light, and you're losing 150 watts onto the floor. And there's not, it doesn't reflect up off the floor underneath the light, because the light's got to hit the top of the plant to be effective. So bear that in mind, and it's one of the cheapest ways to increase your yield as well, is efficiency. If you want to know more about that efficiency topic, go and listen to the podcast. It was about 6-7 weeks ago now, called Efficiency. It sounds the same, and we thought it was quite funny.
Also, I'm going to go in with the what's that? Reflector design is critical.
Greg's the
Greg Victor.
Yeah, from Revolution Micro, the new Diva lights that have come out.
Yeah,
we've got two in our lab there. They are.
Well, hold on. I was going to give me growers a top tip, because we're always talking about equipment all the time. I want to talk to the growers.
Okay.
And about the plants.
Okay.
And what to do with them.
Okay.
So growing towards the light, plants naturally grow towards light as well. So top tip, basic. You obviously all must do this. So you're probably all just laughing at me.
I reckon this is going to be a top tip. I think I know what's coming.
Hopefully you're going to rotate your plants.
That's exactly what I thought was coming.
Around the room. So when the plant starts to lean towards the light, you're going to either rotate it or spin it to another position within the room. I normally rotate them and spin them, so the whole room continuously gets a different take.
So if you were to put a time lapse on your room, it'd be like a really fast merry-go-round.
The waltzers, yeah. So the waltzer spins, but then it spins around it. Yeah, perfect analogy.
Oh, thank you
very much, Steve. That's exactly how it goes. So picture the waltzer spinning. That's how you should do it, sort of. But make sure when you do it, just don't keep spinning it so it's back to the original place. That's wrong.
Turn. Yeah, good. I've spun it all the way around. It's almost a top tip. Doesn't make sense.
I got back off where it got on.
Funny.
Anyway, so when they're growing towards the light, you want to rotate it so it has to work back towards the light, and then you.
Yeah.
But
you get the picture.
Picture. So that's just a top tip for the growers, growing towards light particularly, because that's what you plan to do. Yeah, and the name of the podcast.
Let's see what Greg's saying. He's saying reflector design is critical and typically done poorly. The MaxiGrow guys made a bunch of measurements showing how important it is to get the light on the plant, not on the walls. If the walls above your light are brightly lit, your reflector is crap. Yeah, they're 3 excellent points. So what Greg's saying there is that you should not be growing plants on the ceiling. That's probably not what you intended to do. So why on earth is the light on the ceiling? If there is, then your reflector design hasn't been done adequately. So there's another thing that you might want to think of before, right? You've invested in your new light kit, digital or double-ended lights.
In all honesty, I'm going to be honest here though, I haven't seen many lights, even a magnetic light with a barn reflector with the light hitting the ceiling. And I want to defend barn reflectors and magnetics here, boys.
Well, I think...
But what I will tell you is, wherever the light, because I open me barn reflectors up, so these are the basic cheap Euro whatever barn reflectors that they're called, Euro barn reflector.
Euro reflectors,
yeah, and I open them up. So if it's hanging from the ceiling, wherever it's hanging, I'll have a line around the wall of the room. So it will be on the wall, but it won't be on the ceiling.
Greg's saying he's seen some reflectors where you can actually get light coming through the ceiling. Maybe they've got slits for vents or extraction, and the light's getting through them. But yeah, any lights hitting, if your
you know, one thing I do like,
one thing
is well, like a lot of things, but is Gavita's interchangeable shade. That's nice.
Yeah,
that's all right.
So it's got the 120 outwards, and it's got the.
But you know, I'm 90. A fan of the barn reflectors. I am a fan.
We went into this a little bit science versus skeptic, didn't we?
Yeah. But you can use a barn reflector on a digital dimmable. You
can.
Yeah.
I would say before you start investing, okay, so you've invested in your digital ballast and you've got the nice bulb to go with it, and you think, right, now I can start spending my money on my nutrients, but you've still got the barn reflector. Barn reflectors are very good. Well, I say very good. They're good. They're much, much better than not using anything at all and just hanging a HPS light. But there's much better.
Yeah. But
there's North Star, Hortiline North Star, F1 reflectors, 60 centimetre by 60 centimetre. They've got vents out the top so that the heat can escape. And the hammered steel that they use is a lot more reflective than you'll get on a Euro reflector.
You've got parabolic domes, white, silver, small, medium and large.
The only problem with them was putting them together. Nightmare. Absolute nightmare.
And then taking them back down.
Yeah.
To be honest, you know what? I'm not really a big fan of them. I used them years and years ago, and I had about 100 of the silver ones. And
but that was fun putting them together.
Oh my God. All them nuts and bolts. But you know what I found with them is that they project the heat like a little heat gun, and it seems to just penetrate the canopy of the plant, the top of it. So it used to cause a lot of heat stress, especially if you had a lot of them grouped together, because they're that wide. It was mad. It was like as if the air couldn't get past them. Do you know what I mean? It couldn't escape.
Yeah.
So it would heat up the whole canopy.
And they take up a lot of space as well.
It was like the light couldn't breathe. If you get what I mean.
Yeah.
That's what I seem to find with them, and that's why I seem to like Euro reflectors, because the bulb's just there. It's just, and it's letting all the heat escape straight to my extraction, and my extraction dealing with shit.
That's why I like the North Stars the most, because the vents are right above the bulb, so the heat's escaping right to where your filter should be above your light.
It is a good shade, the North Star.
And then you've got your all-in-one complete fixtures, your Gavitas, your Solistechs, your Revolution Divas. Those typically, this reflective material should last the longest, and they should be the most reflective as well, because they're coming part of a very, very good light kit. And that's the next stage as well that you want to be making. If you're not onto digital lights, then you've got to go and buy digital lights. If you're on digital lights, then you might want to look at getting the Gavitas, the Revolution Divas, the Solistechs, those sort of all-in-one fixtures.
Well, yeah,
we're going to get into the all-in-one fixtures as well, why some of them importance and who they're good for.
Well, we come in the shop this morning. We'll talk about a little bit about LED.
Did you enjoy that?
That was really nice.
It's very hot in here, so it's good to quench your thirst.
Yeah. So come in the shop this morning. Excuse me. And we've got some plants growing in the shop. We've got quite a few little bits and bobs, peas, chilies, and other little things that we've rooted and come to the little clone tent. and we've got a SANlight LED in there. It's a little micro LED, and it's bloody powerful. Powerful little thing. But then when we've come back in this morning, the plants are established well and truly. They're in a
5 litre pots in a propagation tent.
Yeah.
5 litre pots.
They're about over a foot tall.
Pea plants.
And they were doing very well. Nice. But now it's starting to yellow off and stuff because that light is no longer intense enough and no longer has what that plant requires. So what have we done? We've then moved them out, and we've now got them underneath the Spectrum King, haven't we?
Much more intense light to get increased transpiration rates within the plant. Because what we found is we watered them on, when day is it today? Friday. Probably watered them on Tuesday, and then Wednesday, Thursday, and today we've come back in again, and they're still heavy. The pots are still heavy because they're not moving that water.
And the leaves are turning yellow. Yeah. Also, a bit of the temperature is a bit cold as well. So
because of the LED.
So we've moved that on up into a new home. But it's just showing you that that's a good light and a great light for the first propagation period. It's a micro light as well. It's literally that big.
Fit anywhere.
Yeah, fit anywhere. We've got it in a little tiny tent, and it's perfect for that job. And it's done its job completely. We come in today and it's saying to us, right, time to move out.
Yeah.
Let's get me pot and let's go up the road. And off it trundled up the road.
Went upstairs.
Yeah. Also, I threw your plant out of the bubbler. You've now.
Barry's not going to be happy.
It was terrible because the propagation wasn't. It was still should have been in propagation.
Wasn't quite big enough, was it?
No, it wasn't established enough, and you just pulled it out and put it into a large space with not enough humidity, and it just sat there dormant.
Barry just got excited.
Yeah, he did.
He's seen his chili.
You know what it started
through.
doing? It was rooting, but it just was not moving. Anyway,
it was alive, which is funny. It's a fun, let me just adjust this. It was alive, which some people would say, "Oh, it's fine, it's alive," but it hasn't moved for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And so it'll stay green, and it won't really do much. And actually, it's a good way.
But if brothers and sisters that are still in propagation are flying.
Oh, we've had the chilies off them now.
Yeah, they're done.
But it's a good. It's a manipulation trick that you can play. It's not what you want 99% of the time, but sometimes if you need to keep them small for a period of time before, say, another 10 finishes, it's good to maybe manipulate the environment so that it's not at 100% and they're not going to grow as quickly. I know some people do that. They've got 2 tents. One's just a propagation tent. The other tent's a flowering tent. It hasn't finished flowering its old crop.
That's what the doctor said to me the other week.
What?
I was 2 tents.
It's a terrible joke.
No, it's just what he said to me.
You cannot be 2 tents.
Well, it wasn't my fault. One day I felt like a TP and the other day I felt like a wigwam.
You're a knob. Oh, look. Mickey, just get that dust ball and just chuck that out the shop. Thomas's jokes again. Anyway,
so yeah.
Where were you up to before you got your joke book out? You always throw me off track like this.
You wanting to throw the willow trees out that you think are dead.
Oh, yeah.
No, they're not dead. They're actually rebound.
Oh, yeah, we're potting them up after the podcast,
we're going to pot them up, yeah.
We'll do some live stuff on Instagram.
Yeah, and they're also not getting enough light because where we've positioned them is a really bad position outside. They're not getting enough water from the rain because also where we've positioned them, our fault. They seem to be getting a little bit of a shaded, casty part away from all environments, so they're not getting any water, rainwater, or any light. So they appear to be as if they're dead, but they're actually quite root bound as well. So we need to up-pot them and move them positions.
Let's see what we can do with these. Let's see how we can restore these plants. Yeah. We'll follow the story of the willow root bound plants over the next few weeks. What do you want to move on to? Whatever you want. So let's reinforce the point again. If you're on magnetic light kits, move to digital. If you're on digital light kits and you've had them for a while, look into the double-ended fixtures because they're much better.
What about
one second. I just thought of the point I wanted to make before you started making jokes. That one. What I want us to do in the UK, because we have small ceilings, and we look to the US, and we see what they're doing on Instagram. We see the Jungle Boys throwing up hundreds of 1,000 watt lights, and we think, well, if the Jungle Boys are doing it, it must be the right thing to do. So we go to our shop and we think buying 1,000 watt double-ended lights to put in our 2 metre tent, 2 metre tall tent, is the right thing to do. It's not. Only on very small occasions do we have high enough ceilings in tents to warrant a 1,000 watt fixture. And if you must be in a tent, the tent's got to be at least 2.2, ideally 2.4 metres tall. If you're in a room, a grow room, you need your ceiling to be at least 2.4 metres, and that way you can get the proper height for 1,000 watt lights. A good thing about these digital lights with the all-in-one fixtures is that you can dim them down. So if you're buying a Gavita, you buy the 6750, so it goes between 600 and 750 watts. If you buy the Revolution Diva, you can tune that in 1% increments, so that's really highly adjustable, and it goes right down to 600 watts and all the way up to 1,100 watts, or 1,050 or 1,100 watts. So that's fully tunable to good light kit. And then the solar sticks as well, they're fully tunable. So make sure that you're not just looking at what the US guys in the US are doing, putting up 1,000 watt fixtures because they've got the really high ceilings. Adapt. You're in the UK, you've got small ceilings, you need to use a different approach. That's a point that I want to make.
Well done.
Thank you very much.
Excellent point.
What was your point?
I can't remember.
Well, we'll let you think of it, because I want to talk about light bulbs for a minute.
I was going to talk about compact CFLs. But...
Oh, you go first. You've remembered your point.
Yeah, okay. No, but you started.
Compact CFLs.
What, CFL?
Compact CFLs. That's compact
yeah,
fluorescent lights.
Yeah. CFL, compact fluorescent lighting.
There we go.
Good lighting, good propagation lighting.
Excellent propagation light, yeah.
Excellent propagation lighting. I do use it from time to time for summer problems, to bail me out of the shit.
Yeah, you mentioned if you're turning off your 600 watt lights, you'll throw a 300 watt CFL in.
Yeah, and that's
make sure the spread's good.
That's if I'm switching me dimmables down and I can't get any less than 250, and it's still causing me severe shit. So that's like emergency. Yeah, that's like the emergency toolkit. You know what I'm saying?
If you're using magnetics. Because if you're on digitals, you'll be dimming down.
No, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Even if I'm using my dimmables, and it's that hot outside,
you've got to be off.
And I've got all of my dimmables now down. Or say I'm in an 8-light room, every light's on 250. Yeah. I'm gonna have to switch them off. I'm gonna have my CFL kick in to replace the dark patch that's now there, and then it's gonna spread throughout the room how long the walk persists. Because that's what you're fighting. You're fighting a battle continuously when it's in the summer, through temperature and humidity.
And you've got to think, what troops have you got in your room?
Yeah, what have you got? What allies have you got? Air extraction, CO2,
silica nutrients.
Yeah, the good oxygen levels within your water, chillers, all of these things.
They're your army to protect your plants with. That's
army
how you got to think
gladiators.
Of it. Let me just. One person just said it's a little bit quiet.
It's probably because of me. As usual, I just burnt my finger.
Right, hopefully that'll be a little bit better. You caress that microphone.
Caressing it.
So CFLs, there's red and blue CFLs, and then there's dual spectrum. What ones do you use?
Blue.
Same.
I've red used as well.
You've red used. I have. Who are we now? Did you go to see Star Wars at the weekend? Red I have used. Yeah. Wise I am.
I'm talking backwards now.
Hot it is.
Yeah. I've used the red before though as well.
Yeah.
But then you taught me that the blue is actually more better.
More. What the reason is, I had a chat with Theo from Gavita, and he said that because the HPSs in your room have got tons of red, if you're going to throw a CFL in there, you may as well throw in a bit of blue, because do you love a bit of blue? As we all do, love a bit of blue. So I don't really know where I'd use red CFLs anymore. Like, I'm not saying that they're bad or that nobody should use them, but I can't think of a use for red CFLs now off the top of my head.
Okay.
And then you've got dual spectrum, which is, it's nice, but blue, keeps them nice and short and stocky, and is an excellent propagation light. Maxi Grow do the best CFLs. We tested a bunch of CFLs.
Well, they've got that
from
new
all
LED
wholesalers.
thing, haven't they?
Oh yeah, that's a piece of kit.
What's it called again?
That is called, now you're testing me, it is by Venture Lighting.
Venture Lighting.
And it is the
What is
LED. I say it's the LED CFL, which is really
we can't
bad.
say that.
But it's a CFL type looking bulb, but it's LEDs. And they are awesome. I can't think that off the top of my head. You just threw it in on the top there.
Yeah, it's by Venture Light, and it's a piece of kit, let me tell you. We've actually got 2 of them up in the shop on the ceiling.
Because they're that good.
Yeah. One of them's making a funny buzzing noise, though.
Oh, that's because there's bees in there.
Okay. But it's a good light anyway.
Yeah.
You've also got Sunblaster in Nutriculture. Good piece of kit. Like you can daisy chain them as well. Got
really nice on the propagators.
Yeah, very easy to use. You've got like a little reflector thing with them as well, haven't you? Yeah, so
one socket, throw 15 lights up, all across your propagators, job done. Yeah. And Nutriculture's propagators now come with the little inserts embedded into the top of the propagator so that they fit in really nicely.
Yeah, starting to think about the stuff. We just mentioned Nutriculture there, so we'll talk about them for a minute, because I've come into the superstore today, haven't I? And I've been away for a little bit, and wow, it looks amazing. Nutriculture as well. They done their piece last, and it looks absolutely spectacular. To be honest with you boys and everybody, it looks one of the best. I'm really impressed by it. They've done like a canvas
backlit canvas frame,
canvas frame, and it's just really, really nice. We've got a podium with all the different size pots and trays and stuff on there, and it's just
a big up at it. That.
Yeah, so I just want to say a big thank you to Nutriculture for your support. Big shout to Bill and Becky, who made
put it together.
Not literally, they didn't. Well, in fact, no. Bill actually done some drawing as well, because we've got a Plant Magic poster. Did you know?
The old timer.
Bill got his crayons out, and I didn't.
They're the ones we sent him for Christmas.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and he got his crayons out, and he's done a very good job. So thank you very much.
He coloured it. He stayed in between the lines on every part of it.
Yeah,
he did very well. Well done.
Well done. There's no competition, and no, you can't come to Chester Zoo with all the kids, because that wasn't part of the competition.
Well, I'll put a post up on Instagram tonight.
He said he brought the kids to the shop. Is that correct? Or did you want to pull on my leg?
Who?
Bill.
I wasn't here. If he did,
where was you?
In the other shop.
Oh,
running logistics.
Scarving. So yeah, big thank you to Nutriculture and their support, and the shop is looking very, very good now.
Getting there, isn't it?
But as a collective, because obviously, you know, all these companies, they're all like, they've got their poster in there, and they've got their saucer in there, and lights, and they'd all love it to just be all their stuff. But when you think about it, it doesn't.
We're all in this together.
Everyone's in it together, and we couldn't just all go to our grow room and go, right, let's just all get CANNA nutrients. And we can't have anything else but CANNA. What lights are we going to use? We can't use lights because CANNA don't make light. Do we kind of make extraction?
Nope.
So we're going to really struggle then, aren't we? But then that's why we're all in it together, guys, because we need everybody.
Can I take a moment to have a little rant? I'm not going to name any names because this isn't a rant at anybody in particular. It's just one of our good friends in the industry, and to be honest, a few people. And you know when people start to do well, and they've worked hard for years and years and years, promoting, building businesses, and then just people chat shit behind their backs.
I hate that.
Then you know what? It's horrible. But at the same time, I also said to them,
What is it, a bit of jealousy, is it?
Jealousy, that's all it is. People who can't work as hard as you, or won't work as hard as you.
We're not talking about us, are we?
No.
Good.
Other people.
Yeah, good.
And then, of course, imagine this, we were talking about ourselves. How big a head of the day. Now we're talking about other people, of course. And the people listening will know what I'm talking about as well. Working very hard on building their brand, building their products. and other people can or won't work as hard as them. So the only way that they can pull themselves onto their level is by pulling them down or being jealous. And it's just scum. Just people need to work on their own shit and get themselves to the top rather than pulling other people down that are on the way there. And you know what? It probably applies to a lot of people. If you're not getting shit off people, you're not working hard enough. That's what I said to them anyway. So take it as a good thing, because when people start chatting shit about you, then it means that you must be doing something right. So keep your heads up, keep cracking on, and work your fucking asses off.
And don't let them get to you.
Yeah, man. Just thought I'd have to say that, because a little bit of a G up for anyone that's working hard and is getting shit said about them. Then them people don't matter.
Oh, we always get shit said about us.
Oh yeah, it's great. We love it.
Oh. Anyway.
Right, back to podcast, Grow Towards Light. CFLs. So something that I want to mention on this podcast as well is light type. So we have different light types. We have HPS lights, high pressure sodium bulb, which emit that lovely orangey red glow to your room. Heavy on the red, great all-round bulb for flowering, and some people use them in veg as well, but there's a much better bulb to use in veg cycle, and that is a metal halide bulb. Makes your room look bluish and whitish, and the plants will love it. They say they stay short. They stay short, stocky, and give you much more lateral growth, make the leaves greener, and just a healthier light to use when you're in the early veg stage. So these are all things that we want you to be considering before you start spending your money on your nutrients. Is you buy your digital ballast, you buy the better, you upgrade your reflector. You think, can I spend me money on my nutrients yet? We'd say no. We'd like you to buy metal halide bulbs for when you're in veg, and then would you, like, if you've got a 6 light grow room, then in the first 2 weeks of flower, you'd use 3 metal halides and 3 HPS, keep them nice, short, stocky. And then from week 3 onwards, you'd go to 6 HPS. And that's a really basic recipe for getting really good, short, stocky, high-quality plants.
Excellent.
Did you like that one?
Yeah, I did.
Good.
Very good. So what lights have we got for propagation?
CFLs.
Yeah.
So strictly for propagation is CFLs. LEDs are becoming a lot better for propagation.
They're really the best in the propagation section, aren't they? The LEDs.
Yeah. They come into an early veg as well. They come into a league of their own. Yeah. And what was the other one I was going to mention? Yeah, the Sunblaster, the T5 type lights. They were probably most
HID as well.
Prominent in the current market.
Oh, not for propagation. No, that's for veg. Sorry.
Which?
I would have said HID, but I wouldn't use that for propagation. It's a bit too intense for small plants. So
they're the main 3 really. I'd use maybe, you can get 200, you could get 400 watt metal halide. So if you're in the depths of winter and you need that little bit of extra heat, maybe try 400 watt metal halide. It'll give you the heat, it'll give you the nice light as well. But don't have them too close to the plants. Don't be burning them.
So veg period. Same again.
Yeah. So you start to make the switch now from CFLs, T5 lights. You start to make the switch to your metal halides. Some people obviously start throwing in the HPSs. Yeah, you can do that fine, but you might find that they tend to stretch a lot towards that red colour light that they give off. So if you can, try and keep it all metal halide.
A lot of people do still only use a dual spectrum light anyway. I'm a big fan of it, to be honest with you, so I can't knock it.
But there's much better techniques to use if you want to go in full bore. Yeah. And there's another light as well that we need to talk a lot more about and get more interest in, is the ceramic metal halides. I won't say new idea in the UK, but it's coming to a lot more prominence now. People are starting to pay a lot more attention to the 315 ceramic metal halides. And if you don't know what they are, just type in CMH or ceramic metal halide bulbs. Loads of forums you'll be able to read to your heart's content on ceramic metal halides. And they do agro and the second one's just left me. But they do 2 bulbs as well. One's really specific, highly blue light for the veg, and then one's got a bit more red in it, but it still comes out whitish light. So they can change bulbs as well, or you can use a mixture of the 2. So ceramic metal halides is a really good option, especially in the summer when 600 watts is just too much. And I would say that compared to a 600 watt light, 2 315 ceramic metal halides would annihilate the quality, the quantity, and just the general appearance of your plants. So 2 315 ceramic metal halides will piss all over a 600 watt single-ended bulb.
Okay, then.
So need to go and check out those fixtures, because if you're looking on lighting after this podcast, then ceramic metal halide has definitely got to be in your equation. Definitely got to see if it's worth, if it's you the right horse for your course.
And there's different horses for different courses.
And that's why we try and we're not trying to promote too many opinions on the lighting, because what might not be right for us might be absolutely right for you.
If you're a grower who's just using a CFL lighting and thinking, wonder what they're talking about, I've only ever been using these CFL lightings, try a little upgrade, a little bit more intensity, and see how you get on with that. If you're using a really intense 1000 watt light and you're thinking, seem to be getting some issues with my plants quite a lot, and the room seems to be quite hot, and why don't you think of changing the lights downgrade, which will actually be more of an upgrade to you. Yeah.
One step back to 2 steps forward.
That's it. So basically, just use your right in the light way, and you can use your light in the right way as well.
What was I going to say? Yeah, you've talked about like wattage a little bit there. You mentioned 1000 watt. And another point that we want to try and drill home is that, what would you rather use in a 2 metre by 2 metre tent? Would it be a 1000 watt light, or would it be 4 600 watt lights, or would you use 6 400 watt lights? Like, what do you think of those three options?
I'd probably go for the 6 400 watt light.
And that's probably something that might shock a few people. Like, go, oh no, 4 600 watt lights got to be better. But if you actually go for the 6 400 watt lights, what Thomas said at the very beginning about spread, canopy penetration,
wideness,
will all be a lot better with the 6 400s. It's essentially, you've got more suns in the room, and then the technical people will say, yeah, but a 600 watt's more efficient than a 400 watt. And I'd say having 6 400 watts, it gives you more adjustability and more measurability within your room as well. So if it does get a little bit too hot, you can tweak that 400 to 250. It gives you more options. And when we do our bubblers in a 1.5 meter tent, we use 4 400 watt lights. It gives us the greatest coverage, the greatest canopy penetration, and also the greatest control as well.
Yeah.
So there's a lot you can do with lighting, mixing and matching, different colour spectrums, different wattages, digital ballast.
Don't be just stuck in what you're doing. Look at your lighting, investigate it. Have a little think about what we're talking about. Look at what lights you have got. Look at what lights are on the market. Look at your temperatures. Thinking, are they too low? Are they too high? Is the plants yellowing off? Are they all leaning to one direction? Wow. Ask yourself some of these little questions.
My plants don't like one direction. They say they're just a bunch of Nancy boys that can't sing a tune, and they much prefer Take That or a bit of the Beatles.
I've never listened to them.
Your plants love that one direction. You must play it to them all the time.
So basically, just ask yourself these questions, what we're like talking about, and go back into your room and look at your plants and think, are they to sing into one direction? If they are, you need to
change that track
and move them around.
LEDs. There's a lot of there's a camp for LEDs and the super for LEDs, and there's a camp against LEDs and they're really against it. We're in the middle camp. We like to be by ourselves in our own little tent.
Yeah.
And what we say, what we believe, is that LEDs definitely have a place in the market, but they're very expensive.
You're talking about camping and tents. When you go camping and you're in your tent, what light do you use?
I use a head torch myself. And if it's a bigger tent, I'll probably use it.
No, yeah. We're staying on the little tent. You was using a head torch, you were telling me.
Yeah.
Okay, what bulbs in your head torch?
What are they now? Pretzel, not pretzel.
Petzl.
Pretzel. Pretzels.
Chocolate
I have pretzels while I have my pretzel on my
I
head.
like them chocolate pretzels. Have you had them one?
No.
Oh, they're unbelievable. Chocolate pretzels are the one.
Salty chocolate pretzels. Why? Yeah, it's got LEDs in it.
Yeah.
Because it's a new pretzel, of course.
Yeah. So, yeah, they're pretty good LEDs. They're quite prominent everywhere. I'm stuck in your like. And that was the point I'm making, because they're very bright. When we go out camping or out on the mountains or whatever. I'm going to sneeze. Sorry.
Don't be. Let it out.
So, and they've been going on and evolving through torches and stuff, haven't they? Some of the torches now are amazing, and they're all LED.
My dad's got one.
Yeah, the batteries last forever.
Oh, forever.
Forever.
Like 5 million candles.
But they're all new, and there's a million different ones on the market, isn't there? A million different ones. You can buy them in the garage, the petrol station. Yeah. For £2. Yeah. LED key ring torch. Yeah. It's sort of the same on the market in the industry now, isn't it, really?
Oh, yeah. Every man and his dog's making LED lights.
Everyone's got this new LED light with the fancy coloured casing and this coloured bulb and that coloured spectrum, and we are in our own tents because we're quite on the ball with them as well, aren't we? Yeah.
Been following the technology for a while because
and we've been using them very, very hard. Testing the arse out of them, haven't we? And we've been getting some good answers as well. And we've been getting some bad answers, but then they lead to the good ones, so
it's a good journey to be on.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you, I can see the light and being LED in the future. I really can.
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
I don't think it's there now. No, because of the intensity and stuff that you can still get from a HPS.
What people love to do, and this is what LEDs got to one day replace, is your 1000-watt double-ended light fixtures. There is no LED on the market today that will outperform a 1000-watt double-ended light fixture. No, it's just not possible.
No. And this is something else I want to point out to all these light manufacturers as well, that you're going on about LEDs, yeah, and you're pitting them against HPS lights and double-ended lights. It's not really a fair test, to be honest with you, because at the moment you're just smashing heads in, and that's not fair. LEDs against LEDs at the moment, because I know that they're just not, until somebody actually believes that they can say, yeah, it'll beat that. It's going to be. But has anybody made that statement?
Yeah, 90% of LED manufacturers make that statement. My 400-watt LED will outcompete a 1000-watt HPS.
Okay, the next LED manufacturer to say that, yeah, we're going to test their LED and we're going to embarrass you.
On the lab.
Yeah.
And it'll be on YouTube.
Yeah.
Please stop saying that.
Stop saying it, because it's stupid.
And now, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, you might have just got away with it and sold a few light fixtures. Nowadays, people are really onto the facts. And I know that.
But I'm not saying LEDs are bad. I'm saying LEDs are good, but just stop giving them unfair testing.
Yeah, because you're doing yourself.
Yeah, you're making yourself look stupid.
Because a lot of, I'd say, 75% of growers now are they stopped talking about lights in terms of lumens and talking about light in terms of photosynthetic photon flux, PPFD, PPF, and they're talking to starting to look in a lot more into the scientific aspects of lighting. So it's going to be harder to pull the wool over over growers' eyes. So you've got to just stop talking about your 400-watt light outcompeting 1000-watt fixtures, and that's to put an end to HPS versus LED. Why not just make the best LED on the market for people who need LEDs, rather than trying to put it up against the HPSs of the world? They're not there yet.
No.
So let's just be happy with having the best LED on the market. And Budmaster, Spectrum King.
Yeah.
They're two of our personal favourites.
Yeah.
Helio Spectra, they also make a really good quality light because I've seen them in use.
This is the one connected to the bloody internet, isn't it?
Yeah. Hard work. But it's very expensive. Great for people like me that love to test spectrums.
We've got it in the lab right now. Looks like a nice piece of kit, though. Got to give it to do. It looks nice.
And it's good for the guys in the US. It might be worth looking into.
I'm just a bit over the spread of it, because it's only small. Like, you know what I want to see? Like an LED with a shade that can spread shit.
Spread it. Oh yeah, well that Spectrum King is getting close to that. They've got the 120-degree reflector, they've got the 180-degree reflector.
Okay.
So Spectrum King are making manoeuvres, and Paul at Budmaster is always looking on improving his lights. And that's a point actually.
Because what I found with LEDs, once you get the light meter underneath it, and you pull the light meter to the side where the LED stops, boom, the light drops off.
Massive drop off.
Massive boom, as if it's not even on.
But for different horses, on different courses, that could be quite good, because if people are putting their lights in a certain order so that the crossover from each LED is hitting the canopy, and we're not getting any lights lost on the walls, that's a good thing.
Okay.
So if you're on the ball, getting that directional light can be quite good sometimes. And then to hit home the point of LEDs is, what we would say to do is, as the good ones are still very expensive, then you're not going to want to swap out all your HPS for just LED. It's going to be expensive, and you're going to have a lot of quick learning to do. So why not mix and match HPS, LED, HPS, LED, or do 2 to 3 HPSs and 1 LED. That way in the summer, when you're taking out a bit of heat, you're still keeping a good intensity and a good quality light in there as well with LEDs. And it doesn't mean you have to spend the earth either. So try that one out. I know that the US, though, they get a lot of subsidies for using LED fixtures, especially in terms of commercial growing. So the US government is actually giving people money back, or they're not taxing them if they're using LEDs. They're using less power consumption as well, as they become more efficient.
Good for the planet,
yeah.
Okay.
So for the US, it's maybe you might have to start looking into a bit sooner than the UK will. And Australia, to be honest, I haven't seen on Instagram, I haven't seen that many big commercial growers on Australia. I'm hoping that I might start to see some pictures now that I've just said that. I've just got all the Aussies all irate. The bloody 10 commercial grows down the road.
I don't know what accent
that was. London. I'm in London.
Oh.
I did London man talking about Australian people.
Oh, okay. Oh, my God.
I'll work on the accents next week. Sorry.
A kangaroo.
I'm not going to say it again. We'll leave it there.
Go on, anyway.
So
is there much more to say?
There's you know what? Each time we think of a podcast, I think, let's talk about that. And then I just flick through my books. I have a little flick through and think, what could we go into a little bit more depth on something? And I get really into it. I think, I should have done loads more research so we can just speak fluently and openly about it.
I think we could.
Yeah.
Wrap it up if you want.
Yeah. And we can do, because I do want to want to start getting to it. I want to start getting right in there, right into the nitty gritty of growing. I want to get into the science. I want to get into the deep shit.
Oh, it's going to be fun.
It is. But Chelsea's over now. That took up a large proportion of my time. So
we've got AutoPot coming up as well soon.
Yeah, so obviously we're going to be planning and preparing for that one. But it's the summer.
AutoPot's going to it's going to be a different podcast. It's going to be spectacular. It's going to be live at AutoPot. We're going to have loads of guests on there. It's a show, it's a festival.
It's going to be the biggest podcast.
Some people may be alcohol induced, so we are going to put a explicit parental guidance of strictly 18 years, unless the parents permit the children to watch it. I will try and keep it clean. Keep it clean for my little friends,
cherubs,
my little cheruby angels.
Anything else that you want to say about lighting before we head off? Go and pot up these plants outside.
No, I just wanted to say a big thank you to all our listeners once again across the globe. All you guys, keep growing.
Keep growing towards the light.
Yeah, and keep sending us all them emails that we get. We love it. We love it. It's absolutely great.
It is our fuel to keep podcasting.
It keeps us ticking. If there's any particular episodes that you want us to do, or anything that you want us to cover, just keep on sending us some messages in. Nothing but love for everybody.
All over the world.
Yeah, question on the Solistech finisher there, Steve.
Question on the Solistech 10 finisher. Are they a standard E40 fit into my parabolic shade run by a Lumitech dimmable ballast, or are these bulbs for double-ended lighting, etc.?
No, it go right into that parabol shade. Boom. Nice one. Thank you.
And because they're the single-ended fits right into the E40, but you can also get the double-ended if you buy their light fixture as well. They do both. So get the single-ended 10k finish. It costs you about 50 to 60 pounds, and run by a Lumitech dimmable ballast. Yeah. Now this is an important point actually, just as a safety feature. Metal halide bulbs really need to be double jacketed, and what I mean by that is if you look at your metal-ended bulb, your metal halide bulb, you'll see that the part that actually emits the light is within its own glass jacket. Yeah, it's in a really small, looks like a bit of a sweet wrapper type glass, and then around that is another big piece of glass, the bulbous part of glass. That's double jacketed. The light is got to pass through two pieces of glass. That's because if you have a single jacketed metal halide, they can be very dangerous, and if you don't use them in a closed reflector, so essentially you've still got two pieces of light between you and the light. People using
two pieces of glass.
What did I say?
Two pieces of light.
Two pieces of glass. If you're using a single jacketed metal halide in an open fixture, that is super dangerous, and you need to not do it. Go and buy yourself either a closed reflector or go and buy yourself a different bulb. That's super, super, super important. That shit will cause fires. That shit will cause death. That shit will cause major injuries, because when that thing pops, you'll fucking know about it. You will know about it. So that's my little safety top tip for you.
Okay. Cool.
All right.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
Happy days.
Yeah, podcast 116 with myself, Thomas.
And myself, Stephen. And you have been growing towards a light.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Bye-bye.